In the Sermon on the Mount, found in Matthew 7, Jesus tells the masses, "Anyone who hears my words and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the wind blew and beat on that house, and it fell. And great was its fall. But whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock." This month, we are living in harmony with life, and today we're looking at finding harmony in the midst of disharmony. So in essence, Jesus was saying, if you listen and heed the spiritual truths that I teach you, even when the world is in disharmony and chaos, you will stand strong and firm. I love Ernest Holmes' commentary on that Bible passage, which is in the Science of Mind 436. He says, "The wise man built his house on the solid rock of truth, and not on the shifting sands of instability. The foolish man, living only in sense perception, has no measure for reality, and builds his home on false opinions and erroneous concept. The vicissitudes of fortune upset his frail building. The storms of experience tear the walls apart, while the edifice falls about him in ruins. Truth alone endures to eternal day." The solid rock on which we stand in our religious science belief system is the truth that says there is one power, one presence, one life, one creative energy, one essence, one source, and that one is God. There are not two. There is not God and there is only one. And the attributes and qualities of the one are life, peace, power, love, joy, harmony, order, abundance, right action. Those qualities are all at the core of things, even when we cannot see, hear, taste, touch, or smell them. Because remember, those are our human senses. And the human corollary to that is that this one and all the attributes of the one are found in each and every one of us and each and every creation. Everything. Even when we cannot see, hear, taste, or smell, or touch them. So, how can we find our footing when everything around us seems to be shaking? How can we stay in harmony when the world is out of tune? Where is the balance between our spiritual beliefs and our human emotions and experiences? Because we have, one foot on earth and one in the spiritual realm, right? It seems like the answer lies within the concept itself. The answer is for us to remember who and whose we are. We are a drop in the ocean of infinite life. Whose we are is infinite life. We belong to infinite life. If ever there was a time to know ourselves intimately, it is now. The more we know and understand ourselves from the inside out, the more we're able to stand strong no matter what is going on around us and out there, right? Knowing who we are alleviates the possibility that anyone else can convince us otherwise, making us subservient to their whims and control issues. We also become the masters of our own experiences and stop living them based on the will of others. After all, we are and we have free will, right? Don't we have free will? Whatever your experience is, remember that you are whole and perfect expressions of creation. Inherent in you is the heritage of infinite possibilities. So I just finished reading, and rereading, and going back and looking over this wonderful book by Anita Moorjani. And actually, I was going to suggest, too, if you're interested in learning more other than reading, she has several interviews on YouTube, which I've been pulling up and looking at, too. And I think those of you who have not yet heard of her will find that her story is really quite profound. And I'm going to summarize just a little bit about that. She had, at best, according to the doctors, 36 hours to live. Cancer had racked her body and it was shutting down. She fell into a coma and was rushed to the hospital, and she was in a coma for 4 days. Although outwardly she was in a coma, inwardly she was completely alert and clear and came to some profound insights. She realized she'd lived her entire life from fear. Everything she did in life, she did out of fear. Not out of love for self or others or life, but out of the fear of consequences. She realized that her entire life was a culmination of her fearful thoughts. She had incredible clarity as to why she had the cancer and how all of her fear had accumulated in her body and created her illness. She realized also that, so very clearly, that we're all not supposed to live a life of fear. We are actually amazing, magnificent beings, and she repeats that over and over, of recognizing her own magnificence when she was in that near-death experience altered realm, is what she talked about. We're supposed to live our truth and express who we are and not be afraid or pretend to be someone else. She felt the connection and the oneness of all. She profoundly felt and saw that each and every one of us are facets of God. In this state, she felt no boundaries, no restriction, and amazing freedom. And she felt no pain either. All of the pain that she had been living with for years was gone. She was not restricted by time, space, walls, or other people. The only thing that is real, she discovered, was love. And that is what she felt from and for everyone. She didn't feel like she felt like she became them. It was hard for her to explain in words that we use, that she just became part of the one, and that she just knew that we were all part of this one. She understood that she had a purpose, but she understood she wouldn't have to work hard to figure it out. How many of us think it's, I've got a purpose on life and I've got to work really hard to figure out what that purpose is. And she knew that she could just be herself and allow, and that the purpose would unfold before her. It didn't have to be hard. Her biggest learning was to just be herself. Live life with abandon and the purpose will unfold. Do not pursue it, but allow it. I love that word, allow. It just has such a good feeling to it. She realized she had a choice to come back or not, and she didn't want to come back, really. But then she started to understand her own magnificence and that she hadn't yet really fulfilled her purpose, and she knew it wasn't her time yet, and she needed to go back. She connected to something with a big S that made her feel as if she was that something. In the state of being out of her body, she was one with that something and connected with everything, which is also part of that something. She became everything. She became the universe. We have the universe inside us. We are all the center of the universe. When we find that center place, then we can start allowing everything that is truly ours to enter into our lives. It's not about pursuing. The minute we talk about going after something, the fact that we think we need to go after it says that we don't think it's ours in the first place. But when we are in the centered place, then everything that is ours just comes to us. There's a line from the Desiderata by Barbara Dewey, and it says, "May you rest in peace, knowing you are the center of power in your own universe." I say that again. May you rest in peace, knowing you are the center of power in your own universe. She realized in this expanded and exalted place of consciousness that the more we know who we really are, the more we will allow that which is truly ours to come into our lives. You are an amazing, magnificent being, deserving and worthy of everything you desire, and worthy to have all the good in life. You only have to realize it and allow it in. Do you believe that? Do you believe deep down that you truly are an amazing, magnificent being and that you deserve? If not, then we need to work on that. The universe needs all of us. We are all the way we are so that we can be a facet of God. If we stopped being ourselves, then the universe would be deprived of us. We all play such a special part. Every one of us is necessary to the expression of spirit. At our core, at our essence, we are pure love. Our center, where we all come from and all go, at the point which we are all connected. What else can be but pure love? What else can be there? When you get in touch with that, and that is who you are being, what else can you be but love? Don't be afraid to be who you are. All of these insights came to Anita Moorjani during the coma, and she didn't really want to go back into her body because it was too painful. But once she realized the truth of who she was and what she had, that she had this profound purpose that she hadn't fully lived yet, she knew that her body would heal very quickly. She just knew it. And she felt surrounded by an ocean of unconditional love. And I think that's what we feel when we meditate, is we get into that state where we feel that ocean of unconditional love. She was told to go back and to live her life fearlessly. And after that, she began to wake up. That was 6 years ago. And the story is quite remarkable because, they just couldn't believe it. And this is a woman on the verge of death. They had told her family to prepare to say goodbye.
Yeah, it doesn't make national news, does it?
No, it doesn't. What was interesting is, as I read through here, she had gotten onto she began her life living fearlessly, and she didn't think she really had to, and she knew she didn't have to do anything. And she went into like a blog in India, and she blogged about it, and it was a doctor in America who read this and said, I need to come over and take a look at your medical records, which he did, and confirmed what had happened. And so she felt compelled to write this book, which she did. It's the whole journey. And what she did is she said, after doing some research, the only place I would have this published would be Hay House, because that's the type of publisher I want. And so she contacted, and sure enough, you have to have a literary agent. Well, she did not have a literary agent, but somehow Dr. Wayne Dyer heard about her and called up Hay House and said, you need to get a hold of this woman, and she needs to publish her book through you. Just synchronicity. It was just like one of those things so that's what happened. And I think he writes the foreword in here as well. And it's quite amazing. And she's been on PBS. She's been on other interview channels as well. So yeah, it is kind of an interesting thing. But because it was her experience, and it's hard to document, I guess, other than she was dying and then was completely healed. I don't know. So it's just interesting. Yes, she is fully recovered. In fact, her doctor almost threw her chart in the trash because he told her simply he didn't know what to write down. He was completely baffled by what happened because it's not in alignment with what we believe. And she addresses that too. She says we all have these universal beliefs that we all kind of just fall into and follow. So it's a good thing to question that. The secret of all progress is getting into the right relationship with the universal, in tune with the infinite. In tune with infinite order is harmony. Contacting infinite intelligence, recognizing the Father within, Spirit within, accepting underlying laws of creation and moving in its mighty rhythm is harmony. Such harmony adjusts our affairs and enriches our lives. Once upon a time, there was a young woman who was experiencing some significant challenges in her life. She did not know how she was going to make it and wanted to give up. She was tired of fighting and struggling. It seemed as one problem was solved, another one arose. And so she went to her father for comfort and support. And her father, who happened to be a chef, took her into the kitchen, and he sat her down at the kitchen table. He then filled 3 pots with equal amounts of water and placed each on a high fire. Soon the pots came to a boil. In one he placed carrots, in the second he placed eggs, in the last he placed ground coffee beans. He let them boil without saying a word. The daughter waited rather impatiently, wondering what he was doing. In about 20 minutes he turned off all 3 burners. He fished out the carrots and placed them in a bowl. He put the eggs out and placed them in a bowl. He then ladled the coffee out and placed it in a cup. Turning to her, he asked, "What do you see?" "Carrots, eggs, and coffee," she said. He brought her closer and asked her to taste the carrots. She did, and they were soft, mushy, tasteless. In fact, they were pretty much ruined. Then he asked her to try an egg. She pulled off the shell and bit into the very, very, very hard-boiled egg. Also, she felt inedible. Finally, he asked her to sip the coffee. She smiled as she tasted its rich flavor. Confused and perhaps a little more annoyed at the time that had passed and the lack of comfort and support she felt her father was providing, she asked, "An interesting experiment, Dad, but what does this have to do with me and my problems?" He explained that the carrots, the eggs, and the ground coffee beans each had faced the same severe adversity, the same amount of time in boiling water, yet each reacted differently. The carrot went in strong and tough, but after being subjected to the boiling water, became weak, even mushy. The egg, which had been fragile to begin with, held together by a thin outer shell, and after being boiled for 20 minutes, became hardened inside. The ground coffee beans, however, were unique. Even after they had boiled for 20 minutes, they did not really change. They stayed true to who they were, but they changed the water. He went to his daughter and he asked his daughter, "When adversity knocks on your door, how do you respond? Are you a carrot that seems strong and tough, but with pain and adversity, do you wilt and become soft? Do you lose your strength? Are you the egg, which starts off with a soft, fluid center, but in the face of challenges becomes hardened inside? Your shell may look the same, but something inside is gone. Or are you like the coffee grounds? They did not change. They stayed true to what they were, and in the face of real adversity, they changed the world around them. They changed the water into coffee." He then said, "My darling daughter, the best comfort and advice I can give you is to be like the coffee bean. When things are at their worst, remember who you are. Stay true to your nature, and you will change the world around you." Ernest Holmes says in Science of Mind on page 33, "No matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there's that eternal voice forever whispering within our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings." What is the key to finding our footing when everything else around us seems to be shaking? To stay in harmony when our world seems to be out of tune? To balancing our spiritual beliefs and our human emotions and experiences? It's simply this: remember who and whose you are. Remember your true nature and the nature of the universe. Remember that everywhere you look, everything you see is of and from the divine, and that, in fact, everything is holy. And so it is.